Beep, beep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Boop, doop, doop, doop. And we want about that clip. Like,
Cool. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Yeah. Welcome to In the Act. I'm Erica Hunsinger. This is a radio program on process and the creative life. Creativity does not just start and stop with artists. We all make aesthetic or guiding decisions. Our aim is to talk through the process and investigate how we choose to express ourselves and live creatively. And we're connecting with people about their lives, and that's the subject of our show. Broadcasting from Mead Public Library in Sheboygan, Wisconsin on Mead Community Radio, this is In the Act. Today's guest on In the Act is Kate Krause. Hi, Kate.
hey,
Thanks for being here.
thanks for having me at the wee hours of 8:30 in the morning.
Right. I thought you'd be accustomed to that by now.
I am, but I am in routine.
That's totally true.
And then I was like, oh, should I bring my car to work? Should I drive my truck? How do I get there? Am I going to remember to go?
Right.
I like to have all my meetings in-house so that I pretend that I remember them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's totally makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was doing this, I think of you of like a highly creative person. And I think that because you take risks, you are really thoughtful in how you do things and think through things, and are also impulsive and fun. Like they're just like these wide, like let's try it out kind of things. And I love that about you. And it sparks so much, like it generates so much around you. And I don't know. I think that's just really amazing. So that's one reason why I wanted to
That's
have
why I'm
you
in
on
this
the
chair.
phone. That's why you're in the chair.
Don't sit in the chair.
So can I ask you, like, what kind of things, like, inspire you? Is that, like, a big question to start off with?
It's pretty broad. No.
Yeah.
I think everything does. I think that's what I try to channel. For a blanket kind of way, like I didn't set out to like design paradigm. It just like kind of evolved over all of the years. If I sat down before we opened and drew it out, I did draw it out. It doesn't look like that. It's like a house in the country.
Awesome.
And then we ended up in this awesome city building, and yeah, it was just, I can go any direction. I like so many different things that I'm still totally happy with it, but not finished. Like, this is not its final rendition.
No,
we'll just keep evolving and trying to stay relevant.
Yeah, and that flexibility is so important, and you share that with the whole community because of that too, right? Like that, like, oh, new information, let's bring it in, let's learn about this, and maybe we'll change some things.
Yeah, you have to change, otherwise, and we have to be there for the community. I did build the space so that I could be social from the safety of a nice big counter, because I'm not the most extroverted extrovert. So then I could attract all the other
Right.
not quite extroverted extroverts or complete introverts. But yeah, we just kind of roll with community needs.
Yeah.
And they've changed a lot over the last 15 years for me doing this. And maybe they didn't change all that much, or I'm just noticing, or I don't know. Just keep rolling.
Yeah. Would you talk a little bit about like how it hasn't been linear, like how it sort of evolved? Because I think that sort of process of making life decisions and like, oh, well, I was interested in this and now I'm going to do this, or like how that sort of opened up for you, or how it changed, like what happened.
Like how not everything worked.
Yeah.
And that's okay too.
Exactly.
It all depends on relationships. Like we form a relationship with someone who's really pumped about doing something and we'll get behind it. And then they'll move on. We don't move on from our space, but we'll move on to the next project, and that's okay. Like,
Totally.
I think that's my theme. That's okay. It's okay. It's fine.
I love that theme. I super rely on that theme, I think. Now that you say it like out loud, I'm like, I do recall. Yeah. And so how did Paradigm begin? Can you talk about that a little?
It began before I was old enough to know any better.
Which may have been a good thing.
I think it's the only way that could have happened. I was 23 with a lot of energy and a little bit of like fight. And there was an empty space in a space that I used to work. Super props to the women who ran that space before me. They're off doing their next adventure too, and next adventures, because that was quite a while ago. And I was like, I want a place where we can see live music without having to drive to Milwaukee, and consistently, and a place where we can just be. And honestly, I don't know if I put that much more thought into it. It was like, I can do this. Let's do this.
I love that.
And then, like, you know, my mom came to the rescue a few times. She's been our financial support. She gave us a bunch of money over the years, but for the last 10 years, we've been giving her a bunch of money back. So her gut instinct that we could figure it out was right, and she invested in she. Yeah, we're paying her back, and it feels good.
I love that. Yeah,
and yeah, I don't know how it happened. Sometimes I do actually think about it, like what happened.
Right.
And if I would have tried to do that now, if I look back and know what I know, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Right.
It was totally not like sustainable.
Sure.
We worked a ton of hours. We played really hard as well, because we were all in our 20s. But here we are.
Yeah. And I love that the driving force is that, like, naivete, too, right? It's like, I don't know. Let's give it a try. Take a risk. See if it works. I love live music. I want to be around, you know, the music that I like and want to listen to, and it's too far away for me right now. So how do we have all the things that I like in one container?
It was exactly that. And I think just as you're recapping what I just said, I realized that, like, my narrative is also still in the closet, because we were always a safe space for the queer kids, but not loud about it. It was all about safety first back then. And I think I'm still telling that narrative in, like, a safety zone, like, oh, we did this for this. But really, we were just trying to create a safe space for the queer kids and the weirdos to hang out.
Super important.
And now we're out and loud about it because society is kind of allowing us to be. But, you know, things got weird for a while. So we're here, and we have pride flags up, which we never thought we would. And the community is open to it. Not everyone, as always. We know.
Sure. Yeah.
We've also learned those things the hard way.
Yeah.
But the amount, as soon as we realized we weren't for everyone, and we okayed ourselves to not be for everyone.
Wow.
We were for the people who needed us.
Yeah. I mean, you cultivated those relationships, though. I mean, you're the apex for that is that, like, you know, what you created, right, is that safe space, and to be able to, I don't think it was just creating the safe space. You were also educating people and building relationships in the safe space too. So teaching people how to be different and what it looks like to accept your own differences, accept that your differences are celebrated, and that I don't know. It's like, I mean, Paradigm is such a wonderful place to feel accepted for all ages, all abilities, all experiences, and particularly to have the pride flag up and to be in this community that's a little conservative still as well and surrounded with conservative. So it's
it's a lot.
It's a lot to shoulder, I think. Yeah.
And we wouldn't, again, I wouldn't have imagined it like this. Like, I think we thought we were going to be a little bit more, a little more closeted forever, like a little more on the down low. And then it just like happened.
Blew up.
We were just like putting the pride flag up. It's not like anybody didn't know.
Right.
There's always a analogy of like being a card carrying member, not a flag waving member.
Right. Sure.
And we just pivoted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thereby like opening all sorts of doors then, I think, and creating such a creative vessel for community. Yeah.
Well, that was the plan. Right.
That's so great. Yeah. So when you were talking a little bit, like when you were like, part of it was that you wanted to see music, right? Like that's a really big deal to take on, not just a space that's for coffee and, sandwiches. And that was originally, right? Sandwiches and pastries.
Sandwiches came later because we realized that we couldn't sell enough coffee at 9:00 at night to pay the bills for shows. So we started feeding. Well, we started feeding musicians.
Oh.
And then we started feeding other people, kind of out of necessity. And now I walk around the shop every once in a while, going, "When did we become a restaurant?"
Right. Yeah.
But our very first show was a month before we maybe legally opened, because one of those things didn't know.
Yeah.
What? We had to ask for a permit? What?
Right. Exactly. Right.
But our very first show, the stage stain was still wet. And the band that night, Cedarwell, with two other bands, were assembling furniture and staining the stage. And then I found a rug in our attic and laid that down and kind of stuck to the stain. And I was like, this is going to be fine. Opened all the windows, tried to air out the place. We didn't really have furniture yet.
Wow.
Couple of pieces, couple of randos. Our first year, it was mostly our friends' dining room tables that they loaned us. But that first show, we opened the doors. It was $5 at the door, and it got you a ticket for a LaCroix out of the cooler, like a little igloo cooler behind the counter.
That's awesome.
If we even had a counter, I don't remember. And we packed the house. It was packed. We didn't know about capacities yet. Another thing we learned down the road.
Right.
Everybody was sitting on the floor, and we had a really great night. We had, I believe it was Cedarwell, Zach Vinson, and a band from Sweden called Winter Took His Life. And she actually put together our Target table that somebody gave us.
Oh my
right
gosh,
before the show.
you're kidding.
So there was like one tall table. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then we actually opened the doors like a month later.
Wow. So shows first.
Shows first.
Interesting. And then only coffee?
Yeah, we got an espresso machine. So we tried. So we were going to rent that space, and part of it was, hey, all this equipment's still there. And then we bid on it in the auction, and we lost the auction. Somebody outbid us by a lot. Suckers. But then we had no equipment. We just had this. We had already signed a lease, so we were in this building, and we had nothing.
Right.
We forged a relationship with Altera Collectivo. And got a brewer from them, started buying coffee from them. And my mom came through and helped us out. And so we could get an espresso machine. And then we were going.
Oh my gosh.
But the perk was still like the plumbing was there. Yep. That's the like the plumbing was in the right spot. So we were still good. Yeah,
I love that. And how long were you in that space then? That was on Michigan, right?
we were only there for like 2.5 years.
Really?
Which, yeah, that's the reaction I get from everybody. Because it felt like we packed so much into those 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And then, we had some troubles with that building, and our rent was scheduled to go up again, and we just needed to find a space. And we found the space we're in, even though, like, if you see picture, like, it's shocking when we look back at pictures of it. And the person in charge of renting that space was like a cool lady, and I feel like I can't say all the details to that.
Yeah.
A certain political party wanted to rent that space, and our this woman was like, heck no. And then we stumbled upon it, and I think she was just like, I don't know if these kids are going to make it, but it's going to allow me not to rent it to this particular space. And I'm really glad that she took that risk.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
And we existed there for quite a long time, pretty windowless. The windows we had were rattling out.
Gosh.
And then Cautious Construction bought our building and put their offices upstairs and remodeled the whole outside. At that time, we took the opportunity to remodel the whole inside.
Yeah.
And it was great.
That was great.
That was a big turning point for us. We got those big operable windows.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, we're going to be there a long time because we signed a big lease and we owe them some money, but they were really great to finance our stuff.
Totally. Oh, yeah. It was what a transformation.
Yeah.
And, I got to say, though, what sticks in my head, that the piece that is so amazing is that when you guys decided to move from Michigan to 8th Street, you guys created, you had such a community of people who are like, hey, we have all this stuff to move. And you created, this assembly line of movers. Just people showed up. And what was it? You got to, would you talk about that, please?
The Bucket Brigade.
Yeah.
A lot of things that we did back then started with my friends and I drinking a beer, saying, you know what we should do?
Nice.
And then we'd do it.
Yeah.
It was very few things that we just didn't do. And I think it was actually Michelle Jorgensen suggested a bucket brigade, and I was like, yes, let's do it.
That's so great.
And then that day, 110 people showed up. And some of these people I've never seen before, and I've never seen since. A couple of friends who were professors offered extra credit to their students to show up.
Oh my gosh!
In fact, we made the front page of the paper, and I don't even know who those people were, but it was really great. And it took about 90 minutes to pass all of our things, and then we took a day to move all the big stuff on these farm wagons from my mom's farm.
Oh my gosh!
They were 4x6 farm wagons, big rubber tires, and we custom built hitches out of other bike parts for our bicycles.
Wow.
And we used screwdrivers as hitch pins, and
oh my gosh,
we loaded all our big stuff on trailers, and including our piano, which we actually pushed it on the street at 10 o'clock at night while Damon, one of our OGs, played I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight. Everyone eating at Urbane loved it.
Did he sing it too?
We were all kind of singing it. So, yeah. And then we got one of our little teams got pulled over that a little while later.
Oh.
For not having any lights on the trailers. But then we all ran over there and emptied our pockets full of broken lights from our days because we are safety first. We were all wearing helmets and doing our things. But
Totally.
it was kind of funny. Yeah. And then we were in a space. While we were moving all the things and overnight, Chris Roosh and Amy Horst refinished my floors.
Oh my gosh.
So that I could nap and continue to like build out. And I think we were only closed for like maybe 6 weeks in between. And we just built out.
Wow.
Everything. Not everything you see today because we did other things overnight.
Right. Welcome back to In the Act. I'm Erica Hunsinger, and this is our time to talk with Kate Krause. Yay. Well, that's really, like, I think that's one of the most exciting stories about the culture that you create, right? Is that people, even if they didn't know you guys, right, like just show up and support, like, oh, you need help? I'll be there. And I think that that's because when other people are in need of help, you're there too. Like you consistently show up and are present. And that's a really big deal.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I like showing up.
Yeah.
I like showing up more than I like asking for help, but I also know,
right.
You know, thank you. You've helped me move. Like, I've helped you move weird things. And
yeah. You're my art handler.
I am your art handler. That is my next career.
Yeah.
If anybody's listening, that is my next career.
So how like you develop ideas and stuff like for the space, and I don't even know how to like, I know that it's like, it's a very, I really relate to it because it's this sort of impromptu, like organic way of sitting, reflecting, talking, and have like bouncing ideas off until like something sort of floats to the surface. And I really appreciate that way of that's one way that you create things and finding out information from like other people and what's going on and like how you designed the interior of the new paradigm. Can you talk through a little bit about like your decision making with those things?
Yeah. It's been an evolution.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And we pretty much just identify what we need, identify all our needs, and then Chris Roosh and I look at all of the materials we already have stashed in the basement or at my mom's farm, or in Chris's garage, or wherever we can find them. We look at what we have, and then we figure out what we want, and then we fill in what we don't have. And it's awesome, and we've been doing kind of that process together for a really long time.
Yeah.
Since our first move to the new space, which is not new, but
right.
We still call it the new space.
Sure.
But then Chris helped me build out that, and then the first location of Goodside Grocery, which was in the back half of or quarter of Paradigm. And then we unbuilt that, and we moved that across the street to the vacuum cleaner shop and built that out and talked about design and needs, and then Roosh does his thing.
Yeah.
And then he helped remodel everything. We built the stage in 6 hours overnight. Nobody died. It was fine. Only minor injuries. My worst injury was when I went home and slammed my finger in the door and tried not to wake my roommate up with curse words. But yeah, we're not necessarily the most timely. We had to build a stage because we had a show the next night. But
oh my gosh, really?
yeah,
You built the stage the night before.
the night before, with trusses and storage underneath and 14 inches of insulation, and we made sure that it's not a creaky stage. It's a solid stage.
That's amazing.
And yeah, we had a show, so we had to do it.
Music show?
It was a music show. I think it was the first of one of the seasons of the Etude Sessions.
Oh,
that we
right.
were doing.
Wow.
Yeah. And we were like, oh, shoot. We put a window where our old stage was. We better put the stage somewhere else.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many. And then, so we Roosh built out Chicory Root Tattoo Studio, which is on top of our kitchen.
Right.
Next to my office. Office/storage.
Yeah.
And that was just, we had the materials, let's do it. Same thing with COVID protocols. We made this kind of greenhouse effect so that we could safely serve people, safer.
Yeah.
And it just looks so cool. We're probably never taking it down.
It does look really cool.
I like it. And it helps keep our noisiness and on one side of the room.
Right. Yeah.
We just roll with it.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you're like, hey, we're going to use these we want to have partitions, and we found doors that are cool. So if anybody else has doors, bring them on over.
And now we have hundreds of doors.
Right. Do you have extra?
Oh, so many.
Yeah.
I've taken people have I was just give me a measurement and I'll go find one for you. You need a door. We've sold off door handles that people were like, this one matches my house, and I
so funny.
need one more or whatever.
That's so great.
It's really great. There's some doors with people's doorbells still on them. Yeah, I like that. And it actually started. My mom was driving home one day and saw a multifamily getting torn down, and all of these French doors were sitting outside in a pile. And she was like, "Can I have these?" And
Wow.
I said, "Sure," because they were going to go in the dumpster. And then Chris did a similar thing with a big apartment building, which is what all of our fake wainscoting is actually. Can I have these?
Wow.
We're scroungers, but it also saves that stuff from the landfill.
Absolutely.
And we have free lumber.
Yeah.
You'll see pieces like the shelves in the co-op, the movable shelves in the co-op have door ends from apartment buildings.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice that. I'll have to go and look.
It's everywhere. Once you notice, you can't unnotice.
I saw it. Which totally leads you into the sustainability factor, which is at a super important another driving or guiding force for you too. Is aware of the environment, aware of how we use materials, and it shows from your buildup even.
So much recycling. And that's where when we moved into our new space, or our current space, we had this giant basement, and we because we were doing a lot with bike and walk to work week / the non-motorized transportation program. Mm-hmm. Through all of that, the Rebike program was born, and we've been donating that space down in our basement since then. And they've given away rehoused 3,000 bikes over the last 10 years.
Wow.
That were probably going to go to the landfill.
Yep.
It's all volunteer run, and they take things to the scrapyard for 8 cents a pound, but that's what they use for parts and tools. It's pretty awesome. I'm really glad it exists. I'm really thankful for the volunteers that just kept it going, and that we had the space for them to exist.
Absolutely. And you're a big biker yourself. I mean, is that
I have been over the years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And now I just mostly choose to walk my dog instead of riding my bike.
Oh, he's so cute.
And I live way too close to the shop to like get my bike out to make it make sense. So I walk now.
Yeah.
But I love bikes. I have a nice collection, and anything on 2 wheels, I'll ride it.
Yeah. Or 3.
3 is fine. 3's tricky.
Right? Haven't you didn't you
saw
have some sort of like
A pedicab.
pedicab? Yeah.
You've enjoyed that.
I've enjoyed the pedicab. I don't know how you got up that hill.
I don't remember. I've been stuck on hills.
Yeah.
But we used to do like little pop-up shows in parks, and we'd put all the sound system on there, and I'd quite actually get stuck going up hills, and you have to get pushed.
Oh, well, sure.
Yeah, it's not the best geared thing.
Well, and didn't you also rig, and maybe this was with Damon as well, but like when you guys were doing some farmers market stuff too, right?
For Earth Fest. Yeah.
For Earth Fest.
Yep.
Okay. And it was a bike that had a blender.
Oh yeah.
Right.
We made a lot of slushies. That thing we actually, so for something that most people would get as kind of just like a gimmick. I mean, it's not the most convenient thing, and it's not like blenders are using so much electricity. That's
right.
But we wore it out. We like made so many smoothies for Earth Fest and margaritas in my backyard that we actually wore out the bicycle blender.
No way.
Yeah. Many tires as well, but like we wore out the spindles.
I did not know that.
Yeah. It was super fun. Again, not necessarily something I would do now.
Right.
But it was just a fun
thing to do.
I learned a term from another activist person, Peter Mulvey, who's been on our stage a bunch of times and has done a lot of bicycle touring with his guitar and his bandmates.
Oh, that's right.
The term conversational activism. So we were doing this thing and using our leg power to make slushies. There's lots of other problematic things about, food sourcing and all of that stuff. And
right.
But we opened up the conversation by doing this kind of silly thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, in some ways it's that it's easier to to open up a conversation through jokes, right? Or like through a funny skit that's addressing things. People can connect to it a little bit differently, and then and then go deeper into the conversation. But the initial touch points shouldn't feel as heavy.
Yeah. I'm going to go to the park today and talk about heavy shit.
Right. Yeah.
No. I'm going to go to the park today and watch these kids work their butts off.
Right.
Because it is not effective. It's not efficient.
It was a tough ride to get that slushy, to get the ice broken down. Yeah. But you also like keep the because of your love, not because of your love of bikes, but the decoration inside Paradigm is also there are bikes hanging up all over.
Bikes everywhere. I started my bike collection when I was like 8 years old, because I just really love the design and there's so many different kinds. So somebody asked me how many bikes I have, and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna just tell, like, yeah, at my house, like I just have my road bike,
fun,
and one cruise. I've got my cruiser
too,
and then a tandem because you need tandem like date night, duh,
right.
And then when we remodeled Paradigm, the doors got too narrow to park the pedicab inside, so the pedicab's at my house.
It's 4.
And then the one that's connected to the stand to make margaritas.
It's 5.
That's it. Oh, my fixed gear. Yep.
6.
Just 6. But like they all have different
they're all
reasons.
very different.
We just have a reason for all of them. And it's fine.
It's totally fine.
It's totally fine.
It's great.
Yeah. I mean, I like bikes. I like motorcycles too, but bikes. I started wrenching on bikes with neighborhood kids in my parents' old barn, and that was like the first space that I made. Like we cleared out a space and we had a little lounge, and then we had our bike shop part, and we just tore apart everything. My brother and his friends were usually working on motorized things on a different part of the barn, but we had bikes hanging all over this barn that actually fell down when I was an adult, but I remember it was a really windy day, and I looked in and I was like, I had a bunch of stuff stored in there from my three-dimensional design class in school, and I was like, I should really get my stuff out of here. And I went back in the house to have lunch with my mom, and it fell down.
Whoa.
So
in time.
In time, but that was our first space that we made, and I just really liked making a space for people to be. So,
yeah, and to create, and to make, and to.
We had bikes with we'd just put big tires on the front, and then be a BMX with 10-speed tire in the front, and we just ride around the neighborhood, and is a big thoroughfare for a lot of bicycles, people doing their road biking, distant bikers and fast bikers and stuff, and they'd stop and be like, let me try your bike. And we just thought that was so fun.
Cool.
And just met people. We were just weird kids in the neighborhood. But yeah. That was a long time ago.
But but it's still happening in the basement of Paradigm, right? And you're not in charge of it, but you're a super important part of it, and talking about it and promoting it and having it on the property, and there was just a bike sale, not sale, but
it's a giveaway. Yeah,
bike giveaway. 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
even.
I think they gave away 26 bikes right off the sidewalk,
right?
Which has been great because we shifted protocol for COVID, where they just fix them themselves throughout the week and bring them up to the sidewalk and give away. And then in between, we'll get phone calls every once in a while, or people just showing up that just need bikes for transportation. That we'll take them downstairs and find one for them and send it out the door. It's not doing us any good sitting down there, so we just, as fast as we can.
I love that. I love it. That's so great. Welcome back. This is Erica Hunsinger on In the Act, and we are talking with Kate Krause. Hi, Kate.
Hey.
So we talked a little bit about the build outs and bikes and sustainability and community and safe spaces, and it's just there's just so much to talk about and to focus on. I don't even know sometimes how to navigate. I just it's not thinking about how you interact with the world and the people are gravitated towards you, towards Paradigm, and and I guess I wanted to touch base a little bit about the creative thinking involved with the pandemic, right? And so you guys were feeling really successful, and it had been about a year and a half into post remodel with Quashes, right? Or
we were two,
okay,
2 or 3, maybe third season out of that, fourth.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Well,
But we were
it's always evolving.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We were definitely set. 2020 was like our year to hit a big number.
Yeah.
Like, and a big number, I mean, like, we've never been, it's not a get rich number. It's just like,
Yeah.
look at what we could do if we're bringing in this amount of money.
Right.
What we can pay off, what we can start, what we can like focus on.
Yeah.
And then we closed for 4.5 months. We did take that time to do some projects, but also at the same time we were like doing projects that we couldn't spend any money on necessarily or much because we were a little gun shy of like what's next. We didn't know these like revitalization grants were coming down the chute. Like we didn't believe we were ever going to get help.
Yeah.
Or what that looks like. We had no idea. So we took that time. A couple of us spent the entire time in the co-op, just helping that show up for community members. Did a lot of curbside and just hunkered down and really concentrated on that space. And then reopened as takeout only, and people really showed up for us, which was cool. And now we just this morning, because I didn't have anything else to do. We're now open on Thursday mornings.
Oh my gosh.
Starting right now. So, and then we're going to be open 1 hour more on our Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Just tiny bit, because we have a really, we have a smaller crew than we used to. Mm-hmm. And we're just in a sweet spot where we're bringing in enough where they're making good wages, and when we're open, we're busy, which is really awesome. And totally, I mean, flashback to 2006, we a day that would have like busted our butts, is what we do in an hour now.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just a matter of perspective. We just we grew into it. And yeah, we just we're still rolling with COVID. We're watching the numbers.
Yep.
I'm really grateful for my staff that did everything I asked them to do. And everything the world was asking us to do.
Yeah.
And we just figured it out. And we kind of had a little bit more quiet time than any of us are used to. And I didn't hate it. Turns out I don't mind being home sometimes.
Yeah.
My dog appreciated it. My partner appreciated it.
Yeah.
We just really, we're still, and we've just made the announcement on our website that said, you know, if Sheboygan numbers continue to rise, we'll go back to takeout.
Right.
And we don't want to, so get your vaccination.
Yeah. Right.
We hosted vaccine pop-ups
At Paradigm.
Yep. Because if we were going to relax on the mask mandate, we wanted everyone to, we wanted to make it as easy as possible to just do the thing, so that we can all get past it. So
yeah,
because it was fine, but it wasn't easy.
Right. And the fact that you did survive is amazing too. I mean, it's a wholly scary. You had to be very creative about how you were managing money, time, energy, like how to rethink what moving forward in the restaurant business looks like, what it looks like for the music.
Yeah.
Is there music happening?
I keep, we have some stuff in the works for fall, but everybody's on the same page of knowing that we could get the rug pulled out from under us at any time.
Right.
And we're not going to ignore that fact in the conversations.
Absolutely.
So that we're not, that's the hardest part.
Sure.
I mean, were about to do when we closed, it was like, okay, it was Sunday in March, the like 15th or something. And we were like, okay, let's take out half our tables. Let's just put them all on the stage. Let's take them all out so everybody has their own space. And we did that in order to open. And we were going to have a 4-course vegan meal with Veg Pod with Megan Neve, who's a great chef. Amazing. And it was we sold all the tickets, and then we just closed for we didn't know how long. It really sucked.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel, I don't know. I think a lot of people started to look to us for answers, and we're also the coffee shop. Like, leadership would have been really helpful.
Right.
But we also just knew what we had to do.
Yeah.
Whether we were being told to or not.
Absolutely. So, right. And keeping.
Yeah. I might still be angry about it. Like, I'm a little angry about the lack of direction and like having to turn that part of my, like, learn that part.
Oh,
like,
sure. Absolutely.
But now, and what I kept saying was, like, it's hard because we've never done this before. We're not saying, oh, last time we had to shut down because of a world pandemic.
Right.
But now, guess what? We have that perspective. We know what we did last time. We know what we could have done better. We have a lot of hindsight. So, yeah.
Yeah. From the flow of traffic to, space between, hours and times, and who is in the back kitchen, and how you're I mean, from everything, from the moment you step in the door, you have to rethink everything. And yeah, those are still prevalent. And now that numbers are going up, it's like, yeah.
It's like, good grief.
Yeah, it is. And thinking about the other thing that just happened, which is pretty amazing too, which is something that you pushed for, is the Parklet, which I think is the cutest little name ever.
Uptown Parklet. Yeah.
But that creates another space then that feels safe.
Yeah. And that's like, I mean, Kurt from the Ale House and I have been joking around about shutting off the street between us as a little beer garden, courtyard, coffee space for like the whole time. The whole time. Whenever Ale House opened, we were like, that would be so cool. And we kept planting the seed and pretending that it was happening. And then finally and just pushed, and there was opportunity, and things were like that were happening in other places of the community. So now we have it, and it also feels like a nice safety net and a little extension, so that if we do have to close inside dining, we have all the permits we're set. We have the space outside.
Amazing.
And like, hopefully, if it goes well this year, we can look at a permanent solution. Working with DPW, I would really like to have a little tiny band shell out there. I'm saying it in this permanent situation, putting it out there, band shell.
That would be so great. Band shell. Well, I mean, I feel like that's stuff that happens with you though too. Is like you're like, oh, if we think further down, this would be really cool. Maybe if I just put it out in the atmosphere and talk with some other people, it'll just generate momentum, and it like catches gear, and then you just figure it out.
We figured out. That's how we accidentally manifest too many couches sometimes, though. Too many couches, 9 pianos.
Like, 9?
Yeah, we had 9 pianos in the shop at one point.
Really?
And we couldn't sell them / give them away fast enough, because when somebody saw that we had pianos, and that's why our condiment counter is a piano.
I love it. Yeah, I forgot about that.
And like, our house piano isn't necessarily the best one that ever passed through, but we just have always kept it as our house piano.
Yeah.
There
which
might be
goes along with like the music theme, and like everything just sort of has this. There's not a skin to it. Like it's all moves within like all of these pieces that are really important to you, and they just all wave together.
And the weirdest things, I have attachment to the weirdest things in the shop, but
like what?
I don't know. Like 3 of the bicycles that are hanging up, I like those.
Yeah.
And then like
the yellow trike.
The yellow trike is in the basement right now. It is for sale.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know, like one table that I really enjoy that was built by a guy that built a lot of our shelves and stuff out at 3 Barns Full. And we just had a blast going through there, and he gave me my best compliment. I tell everyone my favorite compliment from anyone. He said, "That Kate, she's no capitalist." And I was like, yeah, dude, you get me.
That's so sweet.
Because he was always like, just sell it and come back and sell whatever you buy from here. Make some money on it and come back and talk to me. And I was just like, but I like these pieces.
Yeah.
But in general, like we're not there to make money. We're there to make space. So, and to live a life we want to live. And sometimes you need a vacation from that too.
Absolutely.
Which I learned. I always had this theory that vacations were good. Turns out they're awesome. So.
Turns out they're awesome. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you're like advocate. Like, I mean, if you just like kind of drilled down like all the things that you try and push for and move towards and create, and like that's exhausting. You absolutely have to take some time to like
be quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, be quiet and step out. And I think that's also a really important part of what I see as a creative life too, is that just like people think that being engaged and having that like rotation of like movement and momentum is like that's when you're super creative. It's like, well, that's when the action happens.
Yeah.
But you need to have those other pieces of space to allow that to happen. Like that's why we have to sleep. It's like of that same nature.
100%. We went vegetarian because I finally took a minute. I was driving a U-Haul.
As you do.
For a friend. For 7 hours by myself.
Wow.
I think. I actually don't remember exactly what. I was in a U-Haul for a long time. And I was thinking about all the things. I finally took this quiet moment to think about our menu and where we want to go. And no matter how much we recycle and how much we compost and how much we do these things, we're still a restaurant in the meat industry. And we know that the meat industry has a huge carbon footprint. So if we can tap out of that, we can do more. And, I was watching a lot of zombie things at the time, too. So reanimation was always in the back of my mind. How long has this turkey been gone? And we just finally said, I think we can do it. I think we can take away all of our meat options. So we kind of did it slowly as we ran out. We just did. And we discovered when I told a customer at the counter and that we were out of, I think, ham, and he slammed his fist on the counter and he said the F word.
What?
And I just felt this moment of clarity. And I turned and I looked at him and I said, yep, forever. And I was like, yep, we're doing the right thing.
That's so great.
And we've been fine. It's fine. And we make fun food. We feel like we have more space in the kitchen for creativity. And our vegan burger nights are super great.
Amazing.
They're really great.
Best nachos I've ever had, by the way.
They're so good.
Had.
Super good.
Yeah.
And we use co-op ingredients too. And like, oh shoot, the co-op has 10 pounds of dill to get through. What are we going to make this weekend? It's falafel, by the way.
Right.
We're doing that tonight. And it worked out. And it just felt like the right time. And everything works out just fine.
Yeah.
And it feels cleaner. And
yeah.
Like, I'm not a vegetarian. We sell a lot of vegan things. We're all vegetarian in the cafe. But it's just about quantity and creating space for that option. Like, like we had people come in and go, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize you were a vegetarian. Where can we go?" And I just say, absolutely anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
right.
And it just felt like the space to make.
Yeah. And there's always like the continuation of, I mean, your food sourcing is so important to you too, and the creativity that comes from what's growing now, what's happening now that we can use, and it'll taste the best that it will all year long. And we won't serve it all year long because we only get blackberries right now. Or we only get the cherries that are really good from Michigan right now, or whatever.
Or the 215 pounds of rhubarb that our community showed up with. Mostly one person, you know who you are. Sherry McWilliams brought us 175 pounds of rhubarb.
Oh my gosh.
It was awesome.
Love Sherry.
And we just were cracking up because every week she'd show up with these like really heavy bags. And we just keep chopping and freezing. Well, you'll see rhubarb for a while.
That's great. Yeah. But the creativity like just shines and emotes from like every, part of what you've created, what you create with your staff, with every, it's great.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point of like really trying to talk about some of these things in the show, is because there are other ways. I think sometimes people think that because I made this decision, I can't change it. It's now done. And we're never done. And we can always incorporate new information to create new ideas, reflect in new ways, and you've just shown that over and over again. And
stay relevant or die.
Yeah. Yes, I love that. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. I super appreciate you.
Thanks for inviting me down to this basement room.
And how can people contact you or find out more about Paradigm?
Our website's pretty thorough these days. One of the serendipitous events was hiring a marketing person. Jen Balgy's been doing a bang-up job.
Fabulous.
Keeping our website up to date. And it was really handy because we turned to it to sell all of our merchandise while we were closed. And It just happened to be there and all set for the first time in our whole existence. So I would go there. We have some cool community pages, little bios about some of our crew. We just kind of try to load it up. We're also on Instagram. We do the Facebook thing. You can search out a lot of things, but it should be on our website. For all the queers and allies out there, we do our queer potluck. We're hoping to go back to it quarterly, and all are welcome. And we try to keep that on our Instagram and our Facebook page too.
Great. So, thank you so much, Kate.
Thanks for having me.
In the Act is produced in the studios at Mead Public Library in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. More information on the web at meadpl.org.